All right, we're back here at the Cock Athlete YouTube Talk. Coach Tommy Palms, the best traps in Westchester County, and myself, Jason Lyden. Tommy, do you do trap raises?
Not anymore.
You used to, though.
They're actually the most limiting thing in the world. So they
But
were
they look,
that's it was they look great. It was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life, though, for any kind of athletic development.
okay, but like when athletic training is done, traps add about 10 points to, what's the fucking word I'm looking for, man? Intimidation.
Yes,
Like you have big traps, most people are intimidated.
I agree because it's not a sexy muscle.
Yeah, so then you're just sitting out there, 40s, 50s, you're gonna have traps. Dude's gonna be like, damn, right?
Oh yeah. I did a lot of shrugs for a long time. A
All
long
right.
time.
I pulled my hamstring today.
Oh, that sucks. We're doing what?
Hill sprints.
Damn,
You know what
that
it was,
sucks.
man? I'm running. I'm like, so my legs, over the winter, I've been doing lots of running on the treadmill, a Peloton treadmill. So it's not like self-propelling. So because of that, the hamstring activation utilization is, I'm gonna say like 70 to 80% less, right, than running on the street.
Okay.
So whenever I do run outside now, if I'm doing intervals, like my hamstrings are cooked, bro. They're cooked. And I'm like, I gotta stop running on the treadmill because I'm like having poor activation of sprint mechanics and muscles when I do run. So today I'm doing hill, and then my other thought today, Tommy, was my legs have been feeling heavy, like heavy. And I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? Because I was going through a couple of like hypertrophy cycles that involve legs. And like I'm gonna cut back on leg training, where like my leg days are gonna be 80% plyometric and speed work. And then I'll hit up like a squat and a hinge, and that's it. And I'm gonna keep the rep ranges strictly to a neurological fatiguing range versus a structural range, right? So like my shit's feeling heavy when I run. Like I feel like I'm like 250 trying to run, which I don't like.
Mm, yeah.
So that was going through my mind, and I'm doing my last sprint, and I'm not like running all out, but I'm running at a hard effort. And I'm running, and all of a sudden it was like someone stuck a knife in my hamstring. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
you motherfucker. On my last one too, right? I was like,
Always the last one.
so it's not that bad. It's not swollen. It's not black and blue, but it does hurt.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
It was a good thought process though leading into it. But that's so true what you said about the hamstring, which also goes into like a lot of things I've been just talking to you about in terms of like that I don't want to dive into here yet. But just like muscle oxygenation and desaturation of muscles. And like if you don't expose your hamstrings to when you're running on a treadmill, then try to bring it outside, like that must like the development of that muscle just isn't ready to go.
Mm-mm.
Your aerobic system was ready to go, your threshold system maybe, whatever. But then like your hamstrings, like the muscle wasn't. Which is really interesting. There's so much that goes into it, which I think is really neat and I think really fun. And even further when you think about it from like a mixed modal environment.
And it goes back to specificity, right? And you have there's two types of hinge people in the world. There's the hip thrusters could save the world people, and then there's the hip thrusters that don't do anything people, right? I'm kidding. But we all know like there's middle ground. But my point is it's like only doing hip thrusters and then trying to max out dead, right? Or do volume deadlifts. It's yeah, are hip thrusters going to activate hamstrings and glutes? Yeah, I'm sure someone could throw some study at me that shows um, some tests with various degrees of stimulation, but it's still not the same structural load or intensity, right? And it's like I say that because I got in an argument with Joss. Well, not an argument, but she said, "Well, the Peloton does work the hamstrings." I'm like, "Why are you even going to have this conversation with me?" I'm like, "No, it doesn't." And so, and that's my same thing. It's like it's not going to get you ready. And it comes back to specificity, where no matter what you're doing, but if you're trying to be fast, you have to train fast. If you need to get better at a specific movement or rep range, you have to train that specific movement and rep range, assuming the prerequisites are taken care of, right? Structural integrity and stability, stabilization, etc. So you got to train, you have to be specific with your stuff. And even though I know that, I still wasn't specific with it. And I thought I could just go out and sprint because I sprinted in the past a ton my entire life. And then it was just like a big old FU today, you know?
Yeah, it sucks.
It's like yesterday I did this big post on my Instagram about like being old. And the first thing that came to my fucking mind was like, I'm too old for this shit.
Shit happens.
You know?
Um, Shit happens. Always on the final set too. Which makes you think like maybe we shouldn't have done that set. I mean, clearly we actually shouldn't have done that set, right?
Yeah.
It's well past what we needed to create adaptation.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you ever trained and really thought about only like the minimal essentials training? Like we talk, every coach talks about it. Like every strength coach talks about it, right? And that really dawned on me today before I pulled a hamstring. When my legs were feeling super heavy, I was like, oh shit. Sorry, I was just moving. I hit my hamstring. I was like, I wonder, like, can I get away with doing legs once every 10 days? And I say that because I'm coming at it not from an athletic standpoint. I'm not coming at it from a power development standpoint. Aesthetically, my legs are great. My legs look like your traps, right? I got great definition, great VMOs, good hamstring development. My legs are like all show. Am I going to squat 500 pounds? No. But if I'm going to put short shorts on, you're going to stop like, wow, that dude's got nice legs, right? So for me, I'm like, all right, what's the minimum amount that I need now to maintain strength? I'm not going for any powerlifting competitions, I'm not going for any weightlifting competitions, but to stay fast and feel explosive, right? Because I did get away from plyometric work for a little bit. I did get away from some sprint work. It's a lot of my work was focusing more on like rest pause sets, drop sets, 8 to 12 rep ranges, like that. And I went through a couple blocks of that. And now I was like, I go to run. I'm like, man, I just feel heavy. Even though I still maintain my running, I still run 3, 4 days a week. But I'm like, man, like coming out on the street, I was like, I feel heavy. I was like, I wonder what is that minimal essential strain around my needs and demands. Like, is it once every 10 days? Is it 2 days a week? But like I said before, having the higher percentage majority of the training focused on explosiveness, speed work, elasticity with some neuro driving barbell work, right? So, well, what are your thoughts on that?
well, I think with a muscle like that, yeah, you could get away with that for sure. I mean, I know of like really high level bodybuilders who have overdeveloped or really developed legs who just like actually stop training them entirely because they need to spend so much more time building up other areas of their body that they don't even want to create stress to like even it's just like worthless for them to actually develop the legs and they maintain a majority of the muscle. And I've seen lots of literature supporting that like you don't need a lot of sets at all to maintain muscle mass. Like 3 sets a week can like literally maintain all the muscle you need. Um, Even as some as like 1 set. And then the tinier muscles you kind of need to work a little bit harder, you know, like biceps, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I've seen a lot of stuff on that. So I think you can get away with it for sure.
Have you ever experimented with that on yourself?
Well, I don't really think about that stuff as much anymore as I used
Mm-hmm.
to. But something um, like for a long time, I didn't train like any part of like my chest at all when I was doing CrossFit. And I've never like I've always had a relatively larger chest. And I've always had a good bench press. Like there was never a point in my life since I was like 15 that I couldn't bench 225. You know?
Damn, at 15.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were that weight room
You
hero
had
in
to
high
be.
school.
You
Yeah.
had to be. That's all that mattered though. I wish I cared about my squat, but I did not. Um, so like I think you get away with it, especially if you're like the more developed you are in that area, that I think the less you have to use it. Similarly like with rowing, like you could probably just go on and row a sub 13500 if you wanted to tomorrow. You know, how often do you row? I mean, maybe you do kind of right now, but like I know I can go pull a mid 6 2K right now, and I haven't trained to row in I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Acquiring that base is so important for athletes. The bigger the base you have, I think the less you can do when it comes down to that time, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Tommy,
I don't know.
I just got an important question I got to ask you.
Let me hear it.
What happened in pickleball today?
Oh no, did someone text you?
Oh yeah, I just saw a text come through.
Way.
Yeah,
no
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Vader smoked my shit.
What?
Destroyed.
We were on a podcast yesterday. You were talking to me about your confidence in your pickleball game and your serving.
Vader is phenomenal at one-on-one. Phenomenal.
Really?
Phenomenal. Great game in the back.
Well, I mean, he was a D2 third baseman.
He looks like a baseball player out there. But he's just mediocre at 2-on-2 at best.
How many times you guys played? How many times you guys played?
Front game.
How many times you guys played 1-on-1?
He beat me 3-1 today. 3-1.
So that's substantial. He got you.
First 2 games destroyed me. Third game I beat him. Fourth game I was up 5-1 and blew it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he substantially got you.
Yeah, he beat my ass today.
Well,
it's okay.
Hey man, at least you can admit it.
Yep. I'll take my losses like a man. That's it. He got me today. No excuses.
Yeah, Vader
the wind blowing in his direction.
Vader just sent that text. Oh, the wind was blowing in his direction.
I don't like wind. I'm not a fan of it. Vader's good with the wind. I don't know how. No matter what the wind is, Nick just can hit the ball very well with the wind. I don't.
Man.
I don't.
All right. Okay. There it is.
Don't worry. There's more Thursdays to come. There's more Thursdays to come.
Is that the pickleball day every Thursday?
They're in the week, yeah.
Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
I wish I could.
Yeah,
I really do.
Okay. So going back to what we were talking about with acquiring the base, having a big setup, minimal essential strain, minimum amount needed as you get older. Do you think there's specific data points or references around what is that acquired volume or acquired time and attention throughout the years to be able to have maintenance or steadiness from doing the minimum amount of work? Because we can get in this conversation, people are like, oh, I've been pumping chest for 5 years for 2 days a week, but it's like, that might not be enough, right? It's like, because I think to get to that point, we're like, all right, I'm going to hit it once every 10 days for a reference point. There's got to be some sort of total time accumulated muscular development, usage, time and attention, volume accumulated, however you want to phrase it, depending on what it is, to maintain it, right? Whether we go back to like this question on my legs or your chest or rowing, right? Or biking or running. Like I remember I read one thing when CrossFit Endurance was really big. And then there was some like super high level marathon runners coming out now, not now, but back then talking about, oh yeah, now they only do interval work. Like they're trying to sell a program for high performers with not enough time. And I'm like, yeah, but they can do that now because they spent 30 years with excessive amount of volume that, yeah, they can sprint 3 days a week and still go out and crush a long distance of their choice because of what they've done in the past, not because of what they're doing now, right? Unless you're like God-given and you wake up at a birth with like a 75 with a point, 75 VO2 max, right? So there's got to be something to it that I don't think people talk about enough. They just want to sell like these hack programs, right? These quick fixes, but
that's every hybrid performer out there right now.
Right.
Jacked and can run, right? It's like, yeah, well, they didn't get more jacked, they've gotten less jacked, but now they can run. So that's not going to be you if you follow their program.
Right, exactly. I think that's the biggest thing that people don't look into when you look at these programs that are talking about a minimalistic approach that's showing like these crazy physiques or performances. You really have to dive into what the people did to get to the point to be able to do that, right? And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's very true. I do agree that people, that is kind of becoming I've seen a couple of people talk about minimalistic recently, and those programs will actually be great for beginners, but they'll be very bad for anyone else.
Yeah, and listen, like they might be good in the standpoint of just people not overworking themselves, but don't expect to do a minimalistic approach and wake up and you know, have a 315 bench or 450 back squat and run a sub 5 minute mile. Like, it's not going to happen
No.
unless you're Bo Jackson or an offshoot of him.
Yeah. We got a guy here who just tested his VO2 max 71. And he's like 40.
Was he going to go into running?
He started like 3 years ago. And he ran Boston this past year in 246.
Wow. Stud.
Didn't know it though. He was some overweight dude that was into drinking a lot and decided he needed to start running to lose weight.
He should sell a fucking program. Get overweight, drink a lot, and then cut back and get a 71 VO2 max like me.
71.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, guys. That's all we got for you today on this quick little YouTube talk with Coach Tommy and I. Let us know you guys have any questions. And as always, if you like this, share. If you have thoughts and ideas you want to hear us talk about, shoot those over. And have a good day.